Hello everyone, let's talk about absolute value and distance. I want you to imagine this scenario. That is your home, and here is your work, and here is the bank that you are dealing with. And here is you. Now if you want to go to the bank will be on your left side. So left will be embossed by the negative sign, and if you want to go to work, your work will be on the right side, and the right side will be embossed by positive sign. So you have a left direction which embossed by negative sign, and a right direction that is embossed by positive sign. The distance between your home and the bank is 8 kilometers, and the distance between your home and the work is 5 kilometers. Now you want to go from your home to the bank, so you are going to turn left, and you are going to take a distance of 8 kilometers. So you are going from your home to the bank, left direction, which is embossed by -8. Let's write it here. Now you want to go back to your home. So you are going to turn right, and you are going to take the distance of 8 kilometers. So from the bank to your home, you will take a distance of plus 8 kilometers. Let's write it here. Now you want to go from your home to your work. So you are going to turn right again, and you are going to take a distance of 5 kilometers. So from your home to your work, you will take a distance of 5 kilometers. Let's write it here. Can you guess the distance that you take from your home to the bank to home again and to your work? Is it -8 plus 8 plus 5, which equal to 5 kilometers? Definitely this wasn't the distance that you take during this journey. So how can we calculate this distance? We actually going to calculate it this way. +8 plus 8 plus 5, that will be equal to 21 kilometers. What we can notice here is that we must change any negative sign to positive sign when we are going to calculate the distance to get the right answer. This negative sign just implies the direction that we went to. So when we calculate the distance, we are going to change it to a positive number to get the right answer. This is fundamentally the idea behind the absolute value. It will change any negative number to a positive number to calculate the distance between two different numbers. Absolute value can be thought of as distance from 0 on the number line. The notation of two vertical lines is requesting the absolute value. It is just asking you what is the distance from 0 to this point on the number line. Let's have number 4 here. The absolute value requesting you the distance between 0 and 4. Let's draw the number line. Now we are going to move from 0 to the first unit, or to number 1, then the second unit to number 2, the third unit to number 3, the fourth unit to number 4. So the distance we take from 0 to number 4 was 4 units. So the absolute value of 4 will be 4. Now let's take the absolute value of -4. Once again, the absolute value requesting the distance from 0 to -4. So you are going to move from 0 to -4. 0, the first unit will be to number -1. The second unit will be to number -2. The third unit will be to number -3. And the fourth unit will be to number -4. How many units that we take? We take a distance of 4 units. So the absolute value of -4 is equal to +4 because it is a distance. What we can conclude is that if we have a positive number in the absolute value, it will equal to the same number. And if we have a negative number in the absolute value, we are going to multiply this negative number by a negative sign that can convert this negative number into a positive number. In other words, the absolute value of +4 is equal to the absolute value of -4, which is equal to 4 units distance. The only tricky circumstances about the absolute value have to do when letters or variables are involved. So let's look at the absolute value of x. Now you cannot determine whether x was a positive or negative number. So you cannot say that x is a positive number, that the absolute value of it will be the same number, which is x. And you cannot say that x is a negative number, that the absolute value of it will be negative multiplied by x, that can convert the negative sign into a positive sign. So we will have a condition. If we have a letter or a variable, we will have two different situations. When the absolute value of x is here, we are going to determine if x was greater than or equal to 0, which means positive numbers. So the outcome of x will be a positive x. And on the other hand, if x was less than 0, which is negative number, the outcome of the absolute value of x will be negative x. This is the real solution of the absolute value of a variable or of a letter. Be aware that the domain or the acceptable replacement of x will change according to the problem condition that you will face. Now let's take an example. Evaluate each expression. You have the absolute value of negative 15. So the answer of it will be negative multiplied by negative 15, which equal to positive 15. The second example that we have here is the absolute value of 2 over 3. And we can see that the absolute value of 2 over 3 will be just the same number, 2 over 3. You have the absolute value of negative 4.3. And the answer for it will be negative multiplied by negative 4.3. And basically it will equal to positive 4.3. We have here negative, the absolute value of negative 6. Now let's get started with the absolute value of negative 6. So it will be negative multiplied by negative 6. So it will be positive 6 multiplied by the other negative, which is outside the brackets. The answer will be negative 6. Let's have another example. Evaluate the absolute value of x over x. For a, x is greater than 0, and b, x is less than 0. If x is greater than 0, we have a positive number, then the absolute value of x will be equal to x positively. And the absolute value of x over x will be equal to x over x, which is basically 1. For b, if we have x less than 0, so we have negative number, then the absolute value of x will be multiplied by negative sign to convert it into a positive number. And the absolute value of x over x will be equal to negative x over x, and this will be equal to negative 1. Now let's go back to the definition of the absolute value. If you look here, you will find that the domain was x is greater than or equal to 0. And in this example, we find that x is restricted greater than 0. And this is because we have x in denominator. So we cannot accept the value of 0 because the problem will be undefined. If x is in the denominator, we can't accept the value of 0 because it will make the problem undefined. So I will exclude it from the domain. Now I want you to have your notebook and do this practice. Evaluate each expression. You have the absolute value of 1 and negative the absolute value of 3 over 4 and 2 divided by the absolute value of negative 3, and you have negative the absolute value of 0.7. The other practice is to evaluate when the absolute value of x plus 3 all over x plus 3. For a, x is greater than negative 3, and b, x is less than negative 3. That's all for this video. In the next video, we are going to discuss the properties of the absolute value. Thank you for watching.